A very warm welcome to all the viewers who have joined this live chat session. Thank you for joining, viewers.
A very warm welcome to all the viewers who have joined this live chat session.
Viewers, I have given viewers, three viewers have asked questions in the comment section in videos, and before starting today's live chat session, I would try to respond to these three questions. Firstly, one viewer asked about the Eritrean involvement in Ethiopia. Why is Eritrea backing Ethiopian forces in Tigray region of Ethiopia? Firstly, viewers, there is no question about the presence of Eritrean troops in Tigray region. So many international sources have confirmed this. Now, question is, why is Eritrea doing that? Well, answer is very simple, viewers. Ethiopia fought Eritrea in 1998, from 98 till 2000, and TPLF was in power back then. And during that war, TPLF fighters, or we should say Ethiopian forces, took control of several areas on Ethiopia Eritrea border. So Eritrea, we can say that Eritrea might be trying to settle the score with Tigray and TPLF government. They have outstanding border disputes towards Tigray and Eritrea. That is why perhaps Eritrean forces are in Tigray and they want to solve these border disputes unilaterally. Secondly, viewers, one viewer asked question about UAE drones. He asked that did UAE sell drones to Ethiopia, or Ethiopia is using UAE's drones? UAE is only helping Ethiopia by launching its drones. Firstly, viewers, several Tigray leaders have spoken about drones which carried out airstrikes in Tigray region of Ethiopia. Getachew spoke about it. Then 3 days ago, Molugeta, Gebrehivot, Berhe also spoke about UAE's drones. And Molugeta said that UAE's drones played havoc with Tigray forces. So Tigray leaders are convinced that that UAE's drones did support Ethiopian government. Now, question, viewers, which was asked by the viewer is, uh, did UAE sell drones to Ethiopia, or UAE just launched its drones in support of Ethiopian forces? Well, viewers, I am not aware of any deal regarding sale of drones by the UAE to Ethiopia. If UAE's drones are being used in Ethiopia, these drones must be operated by UAE's operators. Even if you buy drones, it does not mean you have the capacity to operate them. It takes time to train your operators, viewers. And the way drones were used in Tigray, it seems that skilled operators were behind these drones. That is why I don't think that UAE sold any drones to Ethiopia. If UAE's drones have been in operation in Tigray, then we can say that UAE just launched its own drones with its own operators in Tigray region of Ethiopia. Uh, Lastly, viewers, another question which was asked by a viewer: what will happen if Eritrea did not withdraw its troops from Tigray region of Ethiopia? Well, viewers, it depends upon international community. How does international community see this development? To what extent international community would like to act in Tigray region of Ethiopia? If international community decides to intervene in Tigray region of Ethiopia, Eritrea will have to withdraw its forces, viewers. And if international community just keeps on issuing statements, I don't think that Eritrea will then withdraw its troops from Tigray region of Ethiopia. Several viewers have joined, viewers. Sharave Bashir, Charles Gunan, Halis Birhane, Ms. Gabe, Noor Ahmed Ali. Welcome all the viewers. Several questions are being asked as well. Ethiopian military is destroyed and Eritrean forces are not professional. Well, viewers, I think numbers matter a lot. I mean, as I compared in a previous video, that in terms of numbers, Tigray fighters are heavily outnumbered by Ethiopian and Eritrean forces. So what you're saying is that Ethiopian forces are destroyed, Eritrean or non-professional. That is why they cannot compete Tigray fighters. Use numbers matter a lot. Ethiopian forces, Eritrean forces, forces of regions. So that's a large number which is being faced by Tigray fighters. Strategy matters more than numbers. Doubt Ibrahim says yes, it matters, dear, but numbers matter a lot. Military equipment matters a lot. Drones matter a lot. You saw drones matter. You saw that drones made a difference, and Tigray leaders are acknowledging that drones are making a difference. So strategy matters, but apart from strategy, numbers matter. Military equipment matters. Viewpoint 20: how confident are you with established media houses in Ethiopia? Well, viewers, you know that Ethiopian media houses are there is so much polarization in Ethiopia in media in several fields, viewers. State-backed sources are backing Ethiopian government, viewers, and Tigray-backed media sources are supporting TPLF. There is so much polarization. There are not many sources, not many news outlets which are covering the conflict in Tigray with neutrality. Neutrality and impartiality is missing in Ethiopian media, viewers. Fikre at Sabaha, thanks. Mebrate Biraho, do you think UN can deploy peacekeepers in Tigray? Well, we discussed that in previous live chat session. UN cannot do that on its own. There must be some sort of consensus by the countries, especially Security Council members, and we haven't seen so far any development in this regard. Up till now, international community is raising questions about human rights violation in Tigray region of Ethiopia. But I can say one thing, viewers, that international atmosphere is changing about Tigray war. I mean, in this week, which is ending today on Sunday, international atmosphere is changing. The U.S. is speaking against Ethiopian government. Other countries are speaking about human rights violations. And in a video, I informed you that U.S. official spoke about the war itself, that it was a war by Ethiopian government against its own people. So international atmosphere about Tigray war is changing. In the coming days, I think Ethiopian government will have to face more pressure from from international community. Faisal, Samuel, Etoe, hi, BB. So many users have joined. Welcome to all of you viewers. I cannot respond to so many questions, viewers. Uh, Fighting will end in a few months. Beauty archives. Who knows when fighting will end? No one knows. Bante, Yedgan, Ashinafi, how are you getting your information? Because you break every news before anyone else. Amazing. Do you have connections in Ethiopia? Who gives you information? Well, dear, I try to keep myself updated. That is what matters when you are covering a conflict. You must have its past, its present, and a bit of its future as well. I keep myself updated. I do have sources. Technology matters a lot when you cover conflicts, viewers. You cannot go on ground most of the time when you're covering a conflict. But technology matters, human sources matter. So I try to keep my sources updated. Lika Vente said, do you think you are neutral? Well, my own opinion about myself does not matter. What matters is what you think of me. I have no vested interest in covering Ethiopia, viewers. I have covered so many conflicts. And after a few months, you will definitely see me covering some other conflict. So Ethiopia is not the first conflict I'm covering. It won't be the last conflict that I'll cover viewers. I'll keep on covering conflict after conflict. And this is the first and foremost proof of my neutrality. A free Islamic opposition. Do you consider Azerbaijan a brotherly country? Well, every country is a brotherly country for me. Why just Azerbaijan? Do you think Tigray, Mehret, Gabre, Zivago, do you think Tigray will continue as part of Ethiopia after all that? Well, interesting question posed by Mehret. So far, we haven't seen a demand of separation by any Tigray leader. Debrecen spoke last night. Mulu Geta spoke 2 days ago. Then Getachew also spoke a few weeks ago. But no one has spoken about a separation. No one has spoken about independence. There is anger in Tigray region of Ethiopia. It does not mean that people wants to be in, that they want to have an independent state of Tigray. So far, no Tigray leader is speaking about independence. Do you think Abiy will face ICC for the crimes he and Asayas committed in Tigray? Well, it depends. It depends upon how international community responds to the request which are being made by Tigray leaders. How far international community would like to go in this conflict? That will decide the future of Abiy Ahmed and Asayas in terms of their trial in ICC. Free Islamic opposition. Ruby asks, we can't be together with Amharas. It's impossible. Well, Polarization is already there, and a Tigray war is leading to increase in polarization in Ethiopia. But as I said earlier, so far no Tigray leader has talked about separation. Matty Newest, we want independent from the evil Amhara. Barack Moss, you know nothing. Tigray has been calling for. I am receiving so many messages that it becomes almost difficult, almost impossible to read all of them. Again, viewers, message after message, comment after comment. Mm. Zakaria, how many Tigrayan soldiers have been killed? Well, I can't answer this question that how many Tigray soldiers or how many ENDF soldiers have been killed so far. But what I can say is that both the sides are suffering heavy losses. These are not ordinary clashes in Idaga Arbi, near Idaga Arbi. In two clashes, reportedly hundreds of soldiers were killed on both sides. Fierce fighting is underway wherever it is happening. Again, viewers, I'm missing so many messages. Solomon Tesfaye, do you think TPLF will be win in short time? Abdul Aziz, what's your opinion on AMISOM force in Somalia? Well, interestingly, viewers, 2 days ago, Somali government raised questions about Kenyan troops who are part of AMISOM, and Somali government stopped short of telling them to withdraw from Somalia. Otherwise, Somali government has raised allegations, has leveled allegations against AMISOM troops, especially Kenyan troops. And Somali government claims that Kenyan troops are involved in illegal trade of coal and sugar in Somalia. BB, could you cover more of OLA, Oromo Liberation Army? I would like that, but honestly, Tigray is a vast subject and it takes a lot of time to cover uh, each and every aspect of Tigray. Because whenever I start reporting on a conflict, I try to cover all the aspects of the conflict, religious aspects, political aspects, military aspects, international aspects, humanitarian aspects. That is why covering one conflict takes a lot of time. Uh, Lika Wente, do you think TPLF preemptive strike against Ethiopia? I could not read the whole message. Girma Mogus, do you think the Aratine army will withdraw from Tigray soon? Well, again, as I replied earlier, it depends upon international community. To what extent international community would like to involve itself in Tigray region of Ethiopia? This is the most important question. If the US keeps on building pressure, if EU, other countries start building pressure upon Ethiopia, upon Eritrea, Eritrean forces might have to leave for Tigray. But because if Eritrean forces leave Tigray, it won't be easy for ENDF to be in control of Tigray. Uh, Salam, Eritrean out of Tigray immediately. That's your wish. Uh, Beatles, will Eritrea? Again, so many messages that I cannot read all of them. Alex El Sharani, hi viewer. Turkey, Azerbaijan, Pakistan. Viewers, so many messages are being sent that I cannot read a single one of them. How strong is a Tigray? Again, viewers. I am receiving hundreds of messages right now. It's almost impossible to read and respond to all these comments and questions. Uh, do you think Kenya? I cannot read these messages. The areas controlled by Tigray fighters. One viewer asked. That is what I can read. How much area is being controlled by Tigray fighters? Well, we have discussed that in several videos. The central Tigray region is the power base of Tigray fighters. And the bordering area, Tigray, a far border area, is the second most important point for Tigray fighters. And lastly, viewers, some areas on Tigray Amhara border, mountainous area. There are two districts where there are forested mountains. There is presence of Tigray fighters as well. We cannot pinpoint the areas, viewers, because they hide in mountainous areas. They carry out their activities, then they retreat to the areas. They are not in control of urban areas. They are not in control of cities, big towns, but they are in control of some strategic places from where they can come, hit Ethiopian, Eritrean forces, their convoys, and then retreat to their safe havens. Wilson David James, is Egypt pressing Sudan to fragment Ethiopia? Well, Egypt is backing Sudan, no doubt about that, because when the first clash, first confrontation occurred between Ethiopian and Sudanese forces in Jebel Abu Tayyur, Egypt issued a very strong statement in support of Sudanese forces. And unequivocally, Egypt is backing Sudan regarding Ethiopia Sudan border dispute. Uh, do you think that TPLF wins the war? Hezron? Well, right now, ENDF definitely have an edge over Tigray fighters. ENDF and Eritrean forces are in control of urban areas. They are trying to block supply lines of Tigray fighters, and Tigray fighters are finding it difficult to keep their supply lines flowing. At the moment, Ethiopian, Eritrean forces do have an edge over Tigray fighters. You can slow down the messages in the settings. How to do that? I don't know. Is the UAE involved in the Tigray conflict? I replied to this question. TPLF and Tigray leaders are convinced, viewers. Mulugeta is a key TPLF leader, then Getachoreda. Mulugeta's interview, his talk with Alex Devol, it just occurred 2 days ago. And Getachoreda spoke almost 2 months ago about the presence of UAE drones in Tigray. So Tigray leaders are convinced that UAE is supporting Ethiopian forces against Tigray fighters. I'm trying to read one comment which I can respond to, but So many comments are being sent that I cannot read a single comment. US suspends arm deal with UAE. Yes, I did a video on that. US has suspended arms sale to the UAE and to Saudi Arabia, but it has been suspended, not blocked. It is being reviewed by Biden government. It might be revived. Do you think Kenya is actively well, I would like if you could just ask questions about one topic. It will be easy for me to respond to the questions. Are Sudan and Ethiopia going to war? Well, we have discussed that in previous chat sessions too. Both of them have made preparations. Ethiopia has mobilized its forces. It has moved its aircrafts, artillery, tanks, uh, its air defense systems to the border areas. Sudan has done the same, but stalemate persists, viewers. Sudan is not withdrawing its forces from border areas. On the other hand, Zakaria asked about my health. Thank you, Zakaria. At least someone is asking about my health. Uh, and Ethiopia is building a pressure upon Sudan, viewers. By mobilizing its forces, its military equipment, Ethiopia is sending a message to Sudan that it won't accept the status quo. Stalemate is there. Ethiopia wants to avoid starting a war because it's badly caught up in Tigray region of Ethiopia. Sudan is trying to rally Arab countries' support in case of confrontation with Ethiopia. We cannot say for sure what will happen in the coming days. Tensions are there, but since Ethiopia does not want to start a war, Ethiopia would like to have some other type of solution to this problem. That is why Ethiopian fighters, Amhara fighters, are carrying out attacks in border areas. It is a way of putting pressure upon Sudanese government to rethink about its announcement that it won't withdraw its forces from border areas. Uh, what is the GDP of Tigray region? I don't know. But whatever Tigray had, it has been looted. It is being claimed by Tigray leaders. Mologata, day before yesterday, said that Tigray's wealth, whatever it had accumulated in years, over the years, had been looted, and its hospitals, schools, institutions, they have been ransacked. Do you think TPLF preemptive strike against Ethiopia is acceptable? No, not acceptable. But viewers, TPLF has uh, a position which is different. They say that Ethiopian government was trying to hijack Northern Command, and they were trying to post officers, and Ethiopian government was trying to shift heavy military equipment from Northern Command to other areas. So they have their own position on this on the storming of Northern Command. But I believe that storming of Northern Command, or whatever you say, by Tigray forces, it is not the sole reason of Tigray war. Tensions have been rising for months, viewers, and a political conflict is behind this Tigray war, not just one incident of storming of Northern Command by Tigray fighters. Here, sir, from where do you? Again, I cannot read. Do you think the election held by TPLF? How strong is Tigray? Again, viewers. Do you know anything about? Oh, It's becoming almost impossible to carry on this chat session. So, from where do you get your reports? I think I discussed that so many sources, human sources, technology. Do you take super chats? A super chat is not available here, I think. How do you I don't know how to carry on. How strong? Well, let me just sum up and let me say a few words. I cannot answer. I cannot reply to these comments. I'm getting hundreds of comments. I'm receiving so many comments. I cannot respond to all this week, which is ending today. For me, international atmosphere is changing about Tigray war. New US administration is speaking about human rights abuses in Tigray region of Ethiopia. France has also issued a statement about war crimes in Tigray. EU is also speaking about that. So in the coming days, I think there'll be more pressure upon Ethiopian government. It will become increasingly difficult for Ethiopian government to carry on this war in Tigray region of Ethiopia. This is, for me, this is the summary of the ongoing week views about Tigray conflict. I think I should now wrap up this chat session. I'm sorry I cannot respond to so many questions, so many comments. It's almost impossible. I cannot read a single comment. How many Somali does Eritrea have a right to assist Ethiopian government at ENDF request? Well, for me, ENDF's request is disturbing. ENDF is requesting Eritrean involvement against its own people, against a Tigray government, against Tigray fighters. Eritrea wants to settle the score with Tigray fighters. But what is disturbing for me is that Ethiopian government sent a request to Eritrea to support Ethiopian government against its own people in Tigray. That is what disturbs me most. What about stay about Eritrean forces? I responded to this question earlier. What do you think of credibility of Debrezian's video? Yes, several viewers have asked this question that Debrezian's audio message is fake. Well, I cannot say that it's fake. So far, I haven't had any evidence that it's fake. And what's the big? I mean, if Debrezian has appeared after more than 2 months, what's the big deal about that? We haven't heard that he has been killed. We don't have any convincing evidence that he has been killed. So if he has given an audio message, it's not surprising for me. So this whole region is becoming destabilized. How did the ballet how conflict? Please comment on Sudan TPLF relations. The Zabi asked. Very important question. Sudan TPLF connections. Are there any connections between Sudan and TPLF? Very important question. Well, viewers, since the start of this war, I've been trying to dig out some information about the links between TPLF and Sudan. Is Sudan backing TPLF and Tigray fighters in this conflict or not? So far, I haven't succeeded in finding any concrete evidence about Sudan backing Tigray fighters. I think Sudan wants to secure its border areas, and Sudan will only back Tigray fighters if Ethiopian forces launch full scale war against Sudan. Up till now, I believe Sudan is neutral. Sudan is not actively backing Tigray fighters or TPLF. Again, do you think election? Some will ask questions about Balehavo town of Somalia, which was attacked by Jubaland fighters backed by Kenya, and definitely because this attack was repelled by Somali forces. Somali forces were prepared for this attack, and they definitely repelled this attack. Well, let me wrap up today's live chat session. Thank you all of you who have joined today's live chat session. Thank you all of you. Because I request you, please send only those messages which I can respond to. I mean, people are sending comments as well as messages. I cannot respond to comments. Some people are discussing things as well. Just please send messages, short questions which I can answer. Otherwise, it's almost impossible to respond to all these comments and questions at the same time. Thank you, viewers. All of you, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I love talking to you. In the next chat session, I would like to specify some topics about which we can discuss. Again, I cannot read all these messages. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, all of you. Mike, Hanok T, Johannes, Daud, you smart. I can read just names. I cannot read the whole messages. Beauty Archives, Birhane, Nahome, Getacho, Beatles, Yusuf Siddiq, Wilson, Tazabi, Longling of Ethiopia, Yon Media. I can read the names on and on. Wiss, Joss, JobTube, Henox. Let me just finish this chat session, viewers. Thank you all of you. Thank you all of you for joining this live chat session. See you in the next live chat session. Thank you. Thank you, viewers.